Okay, so in this problem, we are asked to solve for h. So I ask myself, what is happening to h in terms of order of operations? H is being multiplied by 6g squared. So when I go to solve, I work backwards and I divide by 6g squared first. So I'm going to divide this side by 6g squared and this side by 6g squared, and I'm left with negative 2xy over 6g squared equals h. The 6g squareds cancel when they're divided. I don't want to leave my answer like this though, because if I look at my coefficients, that is a fraction that can be reduced. Negative 2/6 can be reduced by dividing the top and bottom by 2 to negative 1/3 or negative xy over 3g squared. So I always want to simplify coefficients if possible. That's my final answer. Okay, this problem's asking me to solve for x. So I ask myself, what is happening to x in order of operations? Order of operations says to do parentheses first, so x is being subtracted by 3 first. Then it's being multiplied by negative 3a squared. So to solve, I need to divide by negative 3a squared first. I can't add the 3 here until I get rid of this negative 3a squared, which is blocking me from getting inside the parentheses. So to get rid of it, I divide both sides by negative 3a squared, which cancels it on this side, leaving me with x minus 3. If I have a negative divided by a negative, that's really a positive 4c over 3a squared. I want to try to simplify where I can, and a negative divided by a negative simplifies to a positive. The last thing I need to do is get rid of the minus 3 by adding it to both sides. And that gives me x, since the negative 3 and positive 3 cancels, equals 4c over 3a squared. And then this plus 3 is its own term, since the 3 was added after 4c was divided by 3a squared. And then the last problem asks me to solve for b. So typically, like in the first problem, when something's being multiplied by several terms, by several variables or numbers, I want to just divide by all of those numbers at once. But since there's a fraction involved, I like to leave the fraction to be dealt with last. So b is being multiplied by a half and multiplied by h. So when I solve, I want to divide by h first, leaving my fraction 1/2 for last. And so I get a over h, a divided by h, equals, the h is canceled here, and I'm left with 1/2 b. And so to divide by a half would be the same as to multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 1. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 over 1 to get rid of the times 1/2 that's happening to b. And so when I multiply fractions, I multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. And a number multiplied by its reciprocal gives me 1. So I'm left with b equals 2a over h.